Right, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakodash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone at Wawal, and a sincere Shalom to all Akim that are pushing this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. Notice I emphasize the word truth, because that's what this lesson is going to be about. So as always, I like to start by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, the real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to find Israelites that do look like the other nations because we as a people have been scattered amongst all nations throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like, because the book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. And just to clarify the names that we give reverence unto, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the God of the Bible. His name is Yahweh, which means he is or he exists. And his son's name, the one that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his name is Yahweh Shai. And his name means he saves or he delivers. So the topic of this lesson is going to be truth. Because we was just at camp and we was talking about, various topics. But a topic that came up towards the end was, brotherhood and the truth. Or I should say brotherhood in the truth. They both go hand in hand, because what I was silently thinking to myself is that in order to do well or to last in this ministry, you have to have a sincere love of truth. And that's something that can't really be faked. And when I say you have to have a sincere love of the truth, that means that you have to be willing to accept the truth, whether it's advantageous for you or disadvantageous for you, because it can be either way. But the fact of the matter is, whether the truth is advantageous to you or disadvantageous to you, that should not factor into your love of the truth. You've got to love the truth, whether it be positive or negative. Because in this ministry, we're coming into this ministry from the world, and a lot of us have ways that we practiced in the world which weren't necessarily the right way to do things or to go about things. And when we come into this truth, we put off the old man. We learn that the old ways of the world aren't what is pleasing to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for the most part. So we learn new ways. We put off the old man and we become new men. And in order to do that, you've got to be able to accept that you have flaws. Now, it seems to me that a lot of people, not just in the truth, but I'm really talking about people in the world for the most part, because brothers in the truth, they've come to this realization for the most part, at least brothers in the camp, I should say. But the fact of the matter is that as a man, sometimes in order for you to grow, you have to be able to acknowledge the things of yourself that might not be so beneficial, and be willing to admit, hey, you know what? I need to work on that. Or you know what? Maybe I could fix this. Or you know what? Maybe I could try and change that about yourself, because none of us are perfect. We're all works in progress. The scriptures say, acceptable men shall be tried in the furnace of adversity. So this is all part of that refining process that the Most High is putting us all through. For example, I'll make a man more precious than fine gold. And as I said, that's roughly paraphrasing one scripture. Another scripture is, acceptable men shall be tried in the furnace of adversity. So we're being tried and we're being refined and made into a better product. Just like when you put gold through a purification process, it comes out more pure. It removes all those impurities, all the dross. Like silver, when you clean the silver, you get rid of all those impurities and the silver comes out sparkling. Well, that's what the Most High is putting us through right now, a refining process. And in order to be able to survive that refining process, you have to have a love of the truth. Whether it be for you or against you, you have to acknowledge and always give place for the truth. Because if you don't do that, then you're no longer walking in the truth. You're walking in the ways of darkness. You're walking in confusion. And the whole point of coming to this truth is that when we come into this truth, we're supposed to stay on the straight and narrow path. You know, as 2 Ezra 7 says, there's a very narrow path and only one man can go there at one time. And on the right hand is deep water and on the left is a, burning fire. You're walking that tightrope, man. And if you're walking a tightrope, every step you take counts. Because if you put a foot wrong, then you're going to fall to your doom. That's what it's like being in this truth. And that's why I came to the realization that you have to love the truth. Whether it be for you or it be against you, you have to always love the truth. Now let's get some scriptures out. Because once you lose sight of the truth, then you're walking in the ways of darkness and, you're open to all kind of madness. So it's very important, very important. Let me get this. John 14:6, I'll get here. And Yahushua said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So if you love Yahushua, you have to have a love for the truth. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, you should have known my Father, because Yahweh also has a love for the truth. The scriptures say in Psalms 51, King David wrote, thou desirest truth in the inward parts. I'll get that in a moment. John 14:7, if you had known me, you should have known my Father also. And from henceforth you know him and have seen him. All right? Psalms 51. See, it takes a man to be able to admit when he's wrong. When you're dealing with women, for example, you could be in the right, but a woman will still argue till she's blue in the face that, oh, but you didn't take my feelings into consideration, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. Oh, but then that time when you was walking home, you turned around and you said to me this, and then there was that time in the car where you said that. Rather than just fucking humbling down and being like, hey, you know what, man, sorry, I was wrong, Salakia. The woman will try and run rings around you, where even if you're in the right, she'll try and play on your emotions and bring up this and bring up that to try and justify her position. Now, that's a very effeminate and bitch-made trait. Now, when men do that, it is what it is. I just said it's very effeminate and very bitch-made. You expect that kind of, conduct from a woman. So when it comes to being men, we're supposed to show ourselves as men. And part of being a man is knowing that, you know what, you haven't got it right 100% of the time. You might get it right 90% of the time, but guess what? You're in the flesh, and sometimes you're going to fall short. And that's part of being in the flesh. None of us can say we're 100% perfect or we've got it all together. If we could say that, then why would the Most High have to put us through this situation? The point is he's refining us, as I said. But if we were already perfect, we wouldn't need to be refined. So this is all part of the process. And an important part of the process is learning from your mistakes. See, there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. But there is something wrong with lying about it and denying that you ever made a mistake when you know you did. You see, that part of being a man is being able to accept that, hey, you know what, man? I fucked up. I need to change that. I need to work on this. Maybe I could have done this or that better. That's all part of growing, and that's part of life. Now, a lot of people seem to find it very hard to admit that or accept when they're wrong. And guess what? When they start doing that, they're straying from the path of truth, which is a very, very narrow path. And it's not a joke, because we're dealing with life and death in this thing. This isn't just simple words without force behind them. We are dealing with life and death in this truth. Day by day, we're always dealing with life and death. If the Most High gets fed up of you, he no man's promised tomorrow, man. This could be our last day. Tomorrow could be my last day. Who knows? But we try and walk that path in order to be pleasing, so that the Most High doesn't have to bring a heavy judgment against us. So, Psalms 91, verse 3, for I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. So even King David could acknowledge his transgressions, and the Most High had mercy on him, because David sinned and he tried to cover it up by murdering Uriah, because the sin he committed was committing adultery, and he tried to hide his sin by killing his friend Uriah. But Nathan the prophet rebuked King David to his face, and that's part of why he wrote this psalm. Psalms 51 verse 2, wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and have done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Right. So it says, behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Yes, because we're in the flesh. And verse 6, this is the point. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts. So that's what the Most High desires. Truth in your inward parts. So deep down in your in the deep dark places of your soul, you've got to be truthful, man. You can't be fronting and stunting and trying to be wrong and strong. That shit ain't gonna fly. You might get by for a day, a week, a month, maybe a couple of years, but guess what? Eventually the Most High, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh, they're gonna pull your card, and you're gonna get judged for all that you've done. No man's gonna escape the judgment, man. Remember what Yahweh said, lo, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according to his works. That's in Revelation, the 22nd chapter, roughly paraphrasing. So Yahweh is always watching. And angels are always watching, and they're always recording. So you can be fronting and stunting, trying to be wrong and strong. But guess what? If you're going off, if you're doing that which isn't pleasing in the sight of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh, then you're going to get judged for it accordingly. Now you got to wonder, like, how much do you believe in this in these words? Because if you believe in these words 100%, you're going to be very careful about how you place your foot when you're walking in this truth. Because as I said, you're walking on a tightrope. It's like you're walking on eggshells, because remember, we're not dealing with just some fucking your mate Bill down a road, or your friend Steve on the job. You're dealing with the King of the universe and his son, the two most powerful forces, dare I say, the masters of the universe. That's who you're working for. So you've got to be on your flipping on your best watch to make sure that you're doing that which is pleasing. Otherwise your ass is going to get fired. Just like they've got that show over here, The Apprentice, with Alan Sugar. And, you know, these people are trying to get a job in his company. And they go up there and they have to do these flipping tasks and shit. And at the end of each week, one of them's going to get fired. Well, and they're all sitting there in the boardroom. And this person's saying, oh, it wasn't him, it was me. And she did this and she did that. And then at the end of the episode, Alan Sugar says to one of the people, you're fired. And they're off the show, and they lose the game, so to speak. Well, guess what? It's a similar principle, but you're dealing with the most powerful beings in the universe. And if Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh is to say to any of us, you're fired, like, you know, to become a castaway, essentially, then that's your fucking ass. There's no coming back from that. Like, for example, Judas, once Yahweh said on the night of the night when Yahushua was to be arrested, when Yahushua said to Judas, that which thou must go and do quickly, there was no coming back for Judas from that point. That was the point where Judas got flipping cast out of the 12. You know, and eventually was it Matthias who took his place? But yeah, from that point, I mean, because Judas had been with the Lord for 3 years, but was Judas in the truth? That's the question. See, here's the point, right? It's possible to know the truth, but not be in the truth. See, in order to know the truth and be in the truth, you have to be walking in the truth. I hope that hasn't gone over people's heads, because it might be a bit of a complex thing that I'm saying. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, but know this. It's possible to know the truth, but not be in the truth. So it's a very, very dangerous, slippery slope. You want to know the truth, and you want to be in the truth. And in order to be in the truth, you have to be walking in it. Don't just be hearers of the word, but be doers also. You have to be living by it. You know, this has to be part of your character. And your character is formed through experiences and trials. Some of these trials may be positive, some of them may be negative, but ultimately, the Most High isn't putting us through trials to destroy us. He's putting us through trials to refine us, as I said, as gold is tried in the fire. See, if you're not prepared to go through those trials, then you're not going to get any better. You're not going to become more refined, and you're going to be on the periphery of the truth, but you're not going to be in it. So you could be there thinking, yeah, I know the truth, and I know the Lord, and I know this precept, and I know that precept, but hang on a minute. Are you actually applying what you've learned? Are you applying what you've read? Are you living by these principles? See, principles and character and truth, there's the three fundamental things that are needed in order to last in this ministry. And that's just my little humble observation from the short time I've been in this thing. There's brothers who've been in this a lot longer than I have, and they could probably articulate what I'm trying to say a lot better than I could. But, you know, I'm trying to put it in the most simplest terms that I can. So to keep it simple, as I said in the start of this lesson, a sincere love of the truth is crucial and integral in order to be in this ministry. You have to love the truth, whether it be good or bad, for you or against you. You have to always be giving place for the truth, and not lies, and not bullshit, and not fronting and stunting. So let me see if I've got one more precept I can bring out before I close. Bear with me, I'm just thinking. Now I'm going to close on this. This is the important part. Right. Psalms 51 verse 6. Behold, thou desirest the truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. So when you have a love for the truth, that is the beginning of knowing wisdom. I'll close out on one more. Proverbs 1. Where are we at? 1 and verse 7. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So a fool will despise wisdom and instruction, but a wise man will hear a wise word, then he will add unto it. You know, so sometimes someone may say something to you, and it might rub you the wrong way, but at the end of the day, if it's the truth, you got to acknowledge it, man. You got to acknowledge it. Otherwise, you're a fool. You don't know the ways of wisdom, and you don't have the fear of the Lord in you. So with that, I'm going to close out there, because I don't want to make it more complicated than it needs to be. Keep it simple. So with that, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone at all well. Sincere shalom to the Akim that are doing the work and supporting the ministry, and also to you Akraf that are supporting the ministry. And yeah, that's that. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Yeah, shalom for now.